She says she wants to help you grow. But somehow every conversation leaves you smaller, quieter, and easier to manage. That is usually the first clue you are not being mentored. You're being studied for usefulness, compliance, and threat. Fake mentorship rarely begins with cruelty. It begins with warmth, access, flattering attention, and a feeling that someone gets you. Especially if you are competent, underestimated, and starving for guidance, that recognition can feel less strategic and more like relief. Women in offices are often trained to see selective attention as support because genuine support has been withheld that long. So, when a senior manager pulls you closer, your nervous system may register safety before your mind registers risk fully. And fake mentors understand that timing better than you do because they know confusion is easier to shape than confidence. They notice when you are overperforming, undercredited, exhausted, newly promoted, recently criticized, or quietly recovering from humiliating public meeting. They appear right then, not necessarily because they care, but because vulnerable talent is easier to recruit into loyalty early. Here's what actually happens. The mentorship offer becomes a social contract, and you usually do not realize the price. At first, the price looks small. Keep me posted, run ideas by me, trust me, let me help you navigate. Those requests sound caring, but they also create a private channel where your uncertainty, ambition, and frustration become usable information. Once that channel opens, she learns what you want, what scares you, who hurt you, and where weak spots live. She learns whether recognition makes you loyal, whether exclusion makes you chase harder, and whether praise can redirect your judgment. That is why fake mentorship often feels intensely personal. It is personal, but not in a way you hoped for. Real mentors expand your range. Fake mentors manage your range, especially once your growth intersects with their image or control. Maybe she keeps telling you to be patient while publicly presenting your ideas as team thinking instead of your leadership. Maybe he positions himself as your sponsor, then discourages you from applying elsewhere because he values your potential here too. Maybe she says you are brilliant in private, then goes silent in calibration meetings where your promotion case actually lives. This is the part nobody warns you about. Betrayal usually arrives after trust has already done its work quietly first. By the time you see the pattern, she already knows which version of you leadership is most prepared to believe. And that version is rarely your strongest one. It is usually the one you disclosed while asking for guidance privately. Fake mentors do not need to lie constantly. They just need to curate context, timing, tone, and who hears what. They recommend you for visible projects when success helps them, and suddenly forget your name when credit becomes politically expensive. They invite honesty, then later describe your honesty as reactivity, immaturity, or proof that you are not fully ready yet. Women know this pain intimately because workplace punishment often hides inside interpretation, not policy. And interpretation can always sound reasonable. No email says we are sidelining you because you stopped being useful and started becoming independently influential around here recently. Instead, your manager suddenly wants cleaner communication, better executive presence, softer language, more alignment, and less urgency from you overall. Those phrases sound neutral, but they often mean your performance is no longer being judged separately from someone else's discomfort there. Fake mentorship thrives in that ambiguity because ambiguity gives powerful people room to recast betrayal as professional judgment later publicly. You see it when the mentor who championed you starts copying others on emails that used to stay private before. You see it when feedback becomes strangely polished, as if someone is narrating your personality instead of discussing your work. You see it when meetings happen without you, but conclusions about your collaboration mysteriously arrive with perfect confidence afterward quietly. What makes this worse is how often fake mentorship borrows the language of female solidarity while protecting hierarchy underneath anyway. She tells you to watch your back, but never tells you that sometimes she is the one mapping it too. She frames herself as strategic, battle-tested, somebody who understands the game and wants you safe inside it long-term. But safety is not the same as freedom, and many women are taught to confuse managed containment with professional protection. A fake mentor often protects you from opportunities that would expose how little control she actually has over your future. That is why her guidance starts sounding conservative exactly when your career needs reach, visibility, and independent executive relationships most. She praises your potential, then warns you not to overexpose yourself, not to move too fast, not to appear political. Sounds wise until you realize caution is only being prescribed to you, while less capable colleagues build alliances without consequence. Here's the quiet part. Fake mentors are rarely trying to destroy you initially. They're trying to position you. As long as your talent strengthens their relevance, you stay included. The betrayal begins when your talent stops needing them. Maybe you build credibility with a senior leader. Maybe peers start coming to you directly instead of going through her. Maybe you stop asking permission before making decisions she secretly preferred to authorize, narrate, or take credit for herself first. That is when warrants can turn procedural. The meetings become documentation, and the advice starts sounding suspiciously like containment plans. Suddenly she needs examples. Suddenly she is concerned about how you are perceived. Suddenly she wants HR looped in too. Not because anything dramatic happened, but because once informal control weakens, formal systems get used to restore the narrative again. This is how women end up blindsided by feedback that sounds both vague and devastating, because it attacks interpretation first. You are not collaborative enough. You are too independent. You create friction. You need to rebuild trust with stakeholders now. Notice how none of those phrases describe actual deliverables. They describe social permission, which can be revoked without evidence easily. That is why fake mentorship is so destabilizing. It weaponizes the trust that made you coachable in the first place. You shared context hoping for perspective. She stored context for leverage, and the difference only becomes visible during conflict later. Sometimes the betrayal is dramatic, like being named in a concern you privately discussed with your supposed mentor months earlier. More often, it is quieter. A skipped invitation, a changed tone, a withheld endorsement, a cooling room, an altered review. Nothing looks extreme alone, which is exactly why you doubt yourself while the larger pattern locks into place around you. Fake mentors rely on your reluctance to sound paranoid, bitter, ungrateful, or dramatic, especially in workplaces obsessed with image control. And women are especially vulnerable there because being accurate about manipulation is often mistaken for being emotionally unsafe at work. Here is another signal nobody names soon enough. The mentor keeps emphasizing optics but never helps redistribute power toward you. She will coach your tone for hours, yet never challenge the executive who interrupts you, misrepresents you, or sidelines you. He will tell you to be strategic, yet strategy always means more patience from you and less accountability from him. That imbalance matters. A real mentor may teach restraint, but she also spends capital, protecting your credibility when it counts. Fake mentors spend your emotional labor instead. They ask for trust, candor, flexibility, gratitude, and patience without building reciprocal safety. You become the easy one, the mature one, the one who understands, the one who absorbs what others refuse to. And because you can carry more, everyone decides you should carry more, including the mentor who claims she sees you. This is why capable women get trapped so easily. Competence disguises exploitation, especially when exploitation is wrapped in guidance language. You think, if she is investing this much attention, it must mean I matter. Sometimes it means you're manageable. The deeper problem is not just betrayal. It is the doubt fake mentorship installs before the betrayal even becomes obvious. By the time the relationship turns, you are already rehearsing explanations that minimize what happened and blame your perception first. Maybe I overshared. Maybe I misread her. Maybe I became difficult. Maybe I expected too much from normal politics here. That internal collapse is part of the mechanism. If you distrust your own pattern recognition, you become easier to reposition. So what does fake mentorship look like before the betrayal? It looks like intimacy without genuine risk on their side. It looks like guidance that increases your dependence, not your range. It looks like access without real advocacy anywhere public. It looks like someone encouraging honesty while keeping plausible deniability so your truth can be reclassified later as instability instead. It looks like praise that never hardens in the sponsorship, visibility that never converts into authority, closeness that never becomes protection. and it looks like advice that gets safer for them as it gets smaller for you with each meeting afterward. If you recognize this, the goal is not dramatic confrontation first. The goal is clean perception and private recalibration now. Stop feeding the relationship raw emotional data. Give less texture about your fears, ambitions, resentment, and uncertainty from this point. Watch what happens when access to your inner life decreases. Real mentors adapt. Fake mentors become colder or more procedural. Start separating warmth from protection, attention from advocacy, and familiarity from actual willingness to defend your name publicly under pressure. Then look for evidence, not feelings. Who speaks for you when you are absent, vulnerable, inconvenient, or suddenly less useful? Who interrupts the smear politely but clearly? Who corrects false impressions before they harden into performance narrative about you later? Who introduces your name in rooms that matter without attaching ownership claims to your progress in every important conversation afterward? Because real mentorship does not need you indebted. It needs you stronger, clearer, and eventually capable without translation from others. And if somebody supports the version of you that remains grateful, deferential, and dependent, that is not support at all. That is grooming for organizational convenience, dressed up as care, and women are taught far too late to name it. The betrayal hurts because it is career harm wrapped around attachment harm. It damages your opportunities and your judgment too. But once you see the pattern, something important returns. Not innocence, not comfort, but precision about where safety actually lives. And that changes everything because precision is what lets you stop auditioning for protection from people invested in dependency itself. The woman who understands fake mentorship stops asking who seems supportive and starts asking who stayed truthful when power shifted.